Hello out there to all of you, and a lovely evening to everyone. I am Webby Bird, and I am coming today to you with another Call of Duty mobile video. The reason for the video today is because we have a big, humongous update, not necessarily in size, but Call of Duty never disappoints in terms of that. But specifically, we have a lot of changes coming into the game, a lot of balance coming throughout almost every single weapon category. And what I've read from the developers is that they are base changes. So they're really going to affect every weapon in the game. There are some weapons in specific that are getting some fine tuning. We will go ahead and go over that. This came out just, let's see. This is the April 30th community update. And as of right now, that's what it is today. So it came out really about the same time the Lucky Draw did. I was really excited about the Lucky Draw and did not even see this come in. But this is some really big news. It's going to change the way that we play the game. It's going to change our favorite guns most likely. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I got some slides to go ahead and look over. And basically, I'm just going to go ahead and read directly verbatim from the developer's notes. Now, this is about specifically the upcoming weapon balance update. Now, some of the verbiage in this is a little mishmash, and I will do my best. I'm sure that they did their best. I will set a link for this in the description because this is just a massive update coming and a massive summary about it. So it's understandable that there would be some punctuation or some grammar here or there. But you can see behind me, upcoming weapon balance update, right? Basically, we got an overview, like I mentioned, breaking it down into all of the different categories. So when you take a look at it, starting right off with the SMGs, I'll go ahead and read from this, right? Starting right from the overview. And then I will explain this screen behind me next. But I'll go ahead and put this up in case you want to follow along. I like to do that when I read sometimes. So the point of this weapon balance update is not to negate crazy gunsmith builds or nerf unique blueprints, but to make sure that each weapon type fulfills its own specialty or role. Here is a quick summary of the changes made to each weapon type. SMGs. We aim to strengthen this type's close quarters abilities through increased damage and mobility while optimizing bullet trajectory to ensure viability at other distances. So that more or less sounds like they're going to fine-tune all of the SMGs, and they may all slightly be getting a buff, or what we would view as a buff. ARs, or assault rifles. We aim to strengthen the range at which accuracy of ARs to ensure they have superior combat range of 15 to 30 meters. This is done through improved weapon type differentiation in relation to bullet trajectory, handling, and recoil. All right, on to the light machine guns, the LMGs. We aim to strengthen the accuracy and damage efficiency of LMGs to ensure that suppression is possible at 30 meters away while also strengthening their overall capabilities at different ranges. Snipers. We aim to optimize the attributes of sniper attachments, provide more combinations of attachments, and weaken the advantages of snipers in close range combat. That is the nerf that we've all been seeing coming. Some people say RIP to the snipers. We will see how bad it is. I think that the snipers are still going to be awesome. They're just going to have a more specialty type of role. And the individuals who choose to use them are going to have to be more skilled to do so. So we'll see how that goes. And lastly, the last category they listed here is marksman rifles. We aim to make marksman rifles more nimble and agile by increasing movement speed via various attachments. That sounds kind of like marksman rifles might be getting a buff. I'm pretty excited about that. I love the marksmans. I've always loved the Kar-98 or the Kilo, which is kind of weird. It's called the Kilo because there's a Kilo in Warzone, and that's a fully automatic AR. But yeah, the Kn44, beautiful, beautiful bolt action gun. You know, it says that they'll make them more nimble, more agile. That would be nice. I also like the SPR. I don't have very much experience with the SKS, but it seems very nice. I'll finish up this last paragraph here, and then I'm going to dive into some of the specific weapon types. I made some notes on them so you can know if your favorite gun is going to be viable next season or not, or if it's been listed. You can kind of, if it's not one of the ones I list coming up, you can make assumptions based on what category it falls in here. There are 6 different primary weapon types, anywhere from 3 to 18 different base weapons per type. And on top of that, there are dozens of ways which you can customize each weapon with Gunsmith. Due to the huge variety of options, which is part of why many of you which is part of what many of you love in Call of Duty Mobile. There is a significant challenge to keeping all that balanced. With that in mind, our weapon designers tackled weapon balance primarily by focusing on adjusting base values. So again, that means the weapons that I'm going to talk about in a minute, they'll have specific tweaks, but it's saying there that the primary focus here are on the base values. And last little paragraph says, instead of sharing far too many details for each weapon type and making you all read a novel, which I wouldn't mind, we will put out a bunch of popular weapons from the list and share specifics about what are being changed for each. Let's dive in. So let's do that. Okay. Also, I mean, this is kind of a little bit of a deviation. This is a screenshot of the Chinese Call of Duty Mobile, and this is a gifting feature that they have. They have been getting a lot of features before we do. So fingers crossed that this comes to global. If it does, I look forward to engaging with you guys, giving back, gifting out a battle pass. I'm not sure if it's going to let me, give out specific skins that I have. If I do, that would be really cool, because I know a lot of you wanted certain skins that I've gotten in crates, that I would be happy to, especially for you guys, the supporters. So, all right, now let's go ahead and dive right in. The first gun on the list is the MSMC. When Call of Duty Mobile originally released, all you would find in MP matches was players running the MSMC and dominating with it. However, the glory days of the MSMC are long past, and all these changes are meant to make it stronger and a more viable option among SMGs. We found that the MSMC was still delivered high damage at close range, but the recoil made it hard to control. That's for sure. In order to make this a stronger weapon, we increased the firing range. How much damage you do with the MSMC. This is not the same for each weapon. It is broken down by 4 different ranges. There are specifics that they list here. It's almost like it's data. And I will list the link in the description if you guys want to look at the actual data. But below the data, in this paragraph I'll read following each, it gives a summary of it. It says, yes, this is the hard-hitting and exciting weapon stats adjustments you wanted to know. And again, this is pertinent to the MSMC right now. In addition to the firing range being increased across the board, the ADS speed is being increased on multiple attachments, like the OWC Ranger and the OWC Marksman. The reload speed is being improved, and the overall recoil is being reduced. All of these changes are meant to keep the MSMC as a high mobility weapon with strong close range damage that isn't incapable of firing at medium range like the Fennec or other SMGs. Moving on. All right, the PW57. When examining the PW57, again, I am reading directly from the COD Mobile developers' notes about this update that are coming. So that's what I'm reading here. I'll go ahead and continue. So when examining the PW57, we found that it performs well in relation to clip size and range, but the bullet spread, scalability of the attachments, and bullet trajectory are all lacking. Similar to the MSMC, this weapon originally had many different firing range damage categories, and we were changing that from 5 to 4 ranges, making it more simple. And again, this is where the stats come in. Skipping a little bit ahead. what it means. As you may be able to tell, compared to the MSMC, the PW57 performs far better at longer ranges, nearly double that of the MSMC. But it's similarly best in close quarters combat. On top of the firing ranges being consolidated and improved here, the PW57 is going to get improvements and buffs for hipfire accuracy, mobility, bullet trajectory, and bullet spread. Of those, the bullet spread may be the most important one since it allows the weapon to better perform at those longer ranges. Before, you would fire in those 15 to 28 meter ranges, and the bullet spread would make it so hard to accurately hit your targets. While this weapon isn't meant to be an assault rifle, which excel at medium range combat, the PW57 will once again be a great choice for medium range combat in the SMG category. So that's a buff for PW57 lovers. Alright, next we have the High Gravity 40. Alright, there was a time during our first competitive adventure, Call of Duty Mobile World Championships 2020, presented by Sony, that you would tune into a match and see it filled with HG40s. The weapon is still popular among SMGs, but needs some tweaks to make it competitive and feel unique. We found that the overall accuracy was low and that the damage was a little weak comparative to other SMGs. For this one, we'll share both the damage and range values since they are both changing. Here we have a list of old stats and then as well as new stats. The first thing you're probably wondering is what the damage and why is it clearly different from the in-game damage as shown above. The damage variables used by our designers are different from those shown in-game. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. The damage variables used by our designers are different from those shown in-game. But the most important thing to note is how much the damage has increased and how overall the weapon is more powerful at more ranges. However, there are other changes focused on damage based on magnification. For example, if you shoot at an enemy in the head, the damage is multiplied. Same with the chest, to a lesser amount compared to the legs or arms. Damage magnification for shots to the arms was removed completely for the HG40, and magnification to the head and chest were modified. This is meant to help the weapon deal more damage overall and generally perform better. Alright, next we have the QXR. Unlike the previous two SMGs, the QXR does not perform well at all anything other than short range. The medium range damage was found to be lacking. So a number of changes are being made to help it feel more versatile and less like it can only perform well in close quarters combat. One of the main changes to help with this is an improved recoil pattern and better control. However, let's first look at new damage ranges. And there's the stats. Again, all of the damage remains the same on the QXR. Main difference is that all but closest ranges have been boosted to deliver more damage at longer ranges. However, to balance that, it does take slightly longer for bullets to reach those ranges. Some additional changes include an increased magnification to damage done to headshots and chest shots. The overall damage is still relatively low, appropriate with somewhat fast fire rate. But all three of these last three SMGs are now all better at longer range combat and will leave you in less of a hopeless mid-range fight against LMGs or assault rifles. Before I move on from the QXR, a sentence in the previous paragraph there, it mentioned to balance it, it does take slightly longer for bullets to reach those ranges. That makes me wonder if the developers are going to play a little bit more with bullet velocity. The ASVAL is the only gun right now that has any type of attachments that modify bullet velocity. And so that would be pretty interesting and exciting. Moving on. Alright, moving on now. We're getting into the assault rifles, the Type 25. The developers had a lot to say here, so I will pick right up on what they said. Now to our first assault rifle on the list. The Type 25 is ideally a high skill limit weapon. Where it is controlled well, it can be extremely effective and deadly. But this isn't the case right now. So we have a few changes in mind to help correct that, and the first change is the stopping power reload attachment, which was seen as too powerful and especially so for less veteran players. At the same time, the weapon itself didn't appeal to higher skill players. These changes are meant to reinforce playstyles that support both veteran and new players. The different playstyles both should be both worth considering instead of just always running the stopping power reload on all builds. There are some changes to effective ranges, just like the others, and there's the breakdown of the stats in the info, and now the summary. As you can see, the weapon is getting stronger at close ranges, which helps to support it being a high mobility assault rifle. To help with this, the ADS speed has been increased. Faster, not slower, but bullet trajectory is more predictable. Some other buffs and nerfs are coming as well for the Type 25. Increased the basic bullet spread for the base weapon. The light barrel short attachment has increased bullet spread and decreased ADS speed. And the stopping power reload mag, the specific changes that are coming, it says it has an increased spread and decreased the negative effects of the reload speed. So that seems pretty wonderful. So Type 25 might be more viable and more fun again, just like it was in the beginning. All right, the next AR that they listed is the HBR-A3. The fan favorite assault rifle, the HBR-A3, is up next. After examining this one a bit, we found that it was strong at medium and close range combat with an effective time to kill at close range. One of the only flaws was poor accuracy compared to some of the other ARs, but this was one receiving mixtures of buffs and nerfs to help it fit with a better range profile. First, the effective range is being changed. One of the few buffs coming to this rifle is an improved ADS speed and decrease in the horizontal recoil. But on the nerf side, it's getting an increased bullet spread. It is meant to still perform decently in mid-range combat, and some of the changes will help with that, like lowering the lowest damage range. That means that the weapon does more damage at longer ranges, since it now deals the same amount of damage at 25 meters that it used to do at 35 meters. So it looks like it cuts off a little bit there at the bottom, but it sounds like it's getting a little bit of a buff, obviously a mixture, as it says. All right, moving on. The BK57. With the BK57, we also found that it was a medium to close range assault rifle that had good mobility and endurance. While the accuracy is good on the first couple of shots, the accuracy decreases rapidly after and is hard to control. The ranges for the BK57 are being tweaked a bit. For this middle damage range, it now doesn't trigger until 18 meters, up from 15 meters, which might seem like a nerf, but the strongest damage range was increased range overall. The range changes overall increase the efficiency of the weapon at longer ranges, since you can now do more damage at closer ranges. Outside of the range, there are several changes coming to the BK57. Some of the attachments listed about it are the OWC Ranger, decreased movement speed penalty, so that's going to be a buff. The Elite Foregrip, decreased movement speed penalty, that's a buff as well. Helps push the weapon from close range to medium range. ADS speed improved. Optimized horizontal recoil, which increases the bullet spread. The summary of all these changes is that there are some nerfs in there to help balance out the weapon, but for the most part, it's being improved. Now it should be more competitive against the current dominant assault rifles. Moving on, we have next the Kn44. The Kn44 has always been an interesting one where we've seen mostly positive feedback about it in the community, but it needs a variety of improvements to feel competitive, useful, and worth considering over other weapons. I agree. Nearly all changes to this weapon are buffs. And like usual, we'll start with the changes to its range profile. If you've been reading through each of those, you can immediately see the Kn44 had one of the longest effective ranges at any of the discussed assault rifles. The changes to range make it stronger at further ranges, but mid-range changes, second highest, actually make it less effective up to 40 meters. It is a bit of a trade-off. Just like nearly all the other weapons highlighted so far, the effective range of the weapon is one of the main tweaks of this weapon. While the direct damage isn't changed, the way the effective range and damage magnification is adjusted, it should increase the overall efficiency of this weapon. There are many other changes coming to this rifle, though. Here's a quick list of some of the specific attachments for you gunsmith nuts out there. The strike stock ADS movement speed penalty is being increased. That's a nerf. OWC Marksman ADS penalty movement speed ADS movement speed penalty decreased, also a buff. Movement speed penalty decreased, another buff. Reload speed slightly increased. Increase the damage magnification above the waist of enemies. Optimized horizontal recoil, which results in a slight bullet spread increase. Alright, I love the Kn44. I'm excited to use it after these changes. Color spectrum is one of my favorite skins. Okay, moving on. We skipped one, but I'll go ahead and come back to it. Moving on is I've got the RPD. We've made it through some of the major changes being made to SMGs and assault rifles to arrive at the light machine guns section. First up with the RPD and its medium speed fire rate, somewhat weak firing ranges, poor bullet trajectory at long ranges. This weapon has changes to both the range and the damage, so let's go over that first. This might be the most obvious buff of any of the weapons we've gone over so far, but it will now have increased damage ranges and a flat increase to damage in each range except the longest range, which is actually being decreased. The other main change is trajectory. So while you can shoot at long range, the further the range, the harder it is to control where your bullets will land. Lastly, the ADS time has been slightly increased, nerf. All in all, the RPD is receiving a mixture of buffs and nerfs that make the weapon powerful in some ways, but also distinctively different compared to other weapon types or LMGs. Alright, moving next, we have the M4 LMG. We have arrived at the old dependable M4 LMG. This is one of the original weapons released in Call of Duty Mobile and is one that's always been seen as kind of a middle range all around. Not special in any way, but dependable. Kind of like me. The first adjustment being made are both damage and effective range. Similar to the RPD, the M4 LMG is pretty effective at long range, but does a significant amount of damage at close ranges. However, you no longer have to be quite as close to dish out the highest damage profile. These changes mean at long range the weapon is weaker, but for mid to short range it is stronger. Lastly, some other changes coming are optimized trajectory and increased ADS time. Both of these are nerfs in a way, but let's see here. Both of these are nerfs in a way, with the optimized trajectory helping in some ways, but also making it harder to control the bullet spread at long ranges. Overall, both of these LMGs are low mobility, high damage, high range, huge magazines, just overall dependable weapons. Right. Before I go on to the Akimbo, I'm going to grab the one that I had actually missed. And that is... I guess I did not get it saved. So, bear with me. I'll go ahead and just pull it up right on through here. Alright, well this works. The Man of War. I want to go ahead and go over this. I apologize, it's a little bit sloppy there. This long-range assault rifle is often used as a three-shot rifle due to its low fire rate but high damage. It is receiving a mixture of nerfs and buffs, which aren't quite as detailed as one of the others, but still worth bringing up to how often this weapon is discussed in the community. The range isn't being changed in this one, so we'll just do a short and easy list of changes. Damage increase at the closest range, stronger in close combat. ADS spread increase, nerf. It's going to take longer to ADS. Accuracy enhanced. The Man of War may have one of the lowest mobilities out of any weapon we've discussed today, but its damage profile is unique. It can compete at long range, and in the right hands of a precise player, it can drop enemies quickly at many different ranges. That is for sure. I know that's one of many people's favorite, many people's go-to, many people's fallback. So I wanted to make sure to cover that one. And lastly, the last one to go over here is the changes that are coming to Akimbo. Thankfully for me, you can see my screenshot here. I never even unlocked the sumbitch, so it's not my situation. It's not something I like doing, and I don't even say son of a bitch, so the whole thing is weird. That being said, Akimbo, let's go to this now. Pistols are generally meant to be used in emergency or last-ditch effort situations where your main weapon will take too long to reload or you are out of ammo. On that front, the 50 caliber Desert Eagle performs well when it's on its own, and performs too well when dual wielding. Who could have seen that one coming? Akimbo Eagles has some of the highest mobility out of any pistol. It has high damage and high hipfire accuracy, short time to kill. It has a high fire rate, and it can do serious damage at a long distance. It is too strong with few faults. With that in mind, here are the changes, nerfs, being made to bring the Akimbo Desert Eagles back down to earth, alongside with other pistols and separate secondary weapons. Overall mobility decreased, hipfire spread increased by 35%. Firing speed is going to be increased as well from 0.36 seconds to 0.43 seconds. Wow. So we have just one more paragraph here of the summary. I'll go ahead and go. This has gone longer than I thought it would. Thank you if anyone's still out there watching. But, you know, these are all some major changes that are coming. You know, it's your favorite guns that you have now, they may not be your favorite going forward, and you may have gotten, you know, a really cool skin for a gun a year ago, like an RPD, for example. I know I've got a ton of RPD skins that I've just never used, so I'm excited for this. The weapon balance summary. Well, while we went over various SMGs, assault rifles, LMGs, and a single pistol, this is only a small sampling of the it's a typo there. This is only a small sampling of the list of changes and weapons affected by this upcoming weapon balance update. There are marksman rifles in the mix, sniper rifles, pistols, and many other weapons being adjusted. These changes are significant, and we can't wait to see them released to the entire player base. So there you have it. Everything is listed there as far as what's coming up in the weapon balance update. Let me know what you guys think, what your favorite gun is, if you have any predictions about what is going to be the meta going forward. And so anyway, thanks so much, man. Webby Bird is me. You can add me in game if you like. I appreciate you guys all.